One of the things that came up previously was Dale and I, a few years ago, did a presentation, and we talked about the different approaches to planning. Dale and I are complete opposites when it comes to our approach to planning and how we approach different things. And one of the questions that we got after we did that presentation was how, with such different styles, are we able to work together? Because sometimes, you might get the feeling that if your opposite styles are so dramatically different, you might really conflict and not be able to work together. But that's not necessarily the case. There are a few key elements that can really help bring that together and make a very successful project or presentation. Dale and I have done several presentations together, and they've been extremely successful, even though we have two completely contrasting styles to our approach. So with that, I'm going to talk a little bit about what those key elements are. And I want to say thanks to Dale. He and I were going to present this together, and he did a lot of the legwork of putting this presentation. So Dale, thank you so much for all your hard work in helping put this together. And I also want to throw out there that during the presentation, I'm going to use the polls as well. So I thought it might be a fun way to get more engagement. That's one of the things that I loved about the E4E presentations was the engagement with the audience. So we're going to try it out today. So be looking for that. I'll give you a heads up when I'm going to throw one out there. I just have a couple of them, but love to hear your feedback on what you think of it at the end as well. So here we go. Contrasting styles, using myself and Dale as the example. So for me, I'm very much a planner. I research extensively. I almost feel sometimes as though I cannot get enough research in. With that, I make very deliberate decisions. I'm not quick to make decisions. Anybody who knows me or has worked with me knows I need to gather lots of information to make those decisions. However, even with that, I do adapt readily, and I accept the consequences of my decisions. It makes it, when you accept those consequences, it makes it easy to reevaluate, pivot, and turn if you need to. In contrast with that, we've got Dale. Dale's more directional. So he doesn't do step-by-step planning. He decides, here's the direction that I want to head, and he just starts moving towards it, makes adjustments along the way. He assimilates his information quickly. He gathers it up and makes a quick decision. However, even with that kind of a contrasting style, he adapts readily as well. He accepts the consequences, which allows him to identify where he needs to make adjustments, pivot, and start again. So even though our two contrasting styles are very, very different, we both can adapt readily, accept the consequences, and be successful with what we're trying to accomplish. So with that, I'm going to throw out our first poll. So with our first poll, let's see if I can get this up here. All righty. I'm going to throw out a poll of what style are you? So I'm going to launch it now. Click on it within the next few seconds, and let's see what we have in our audience today. There we go. Just a few more seconds. All righty. So with that, let's see what we have. I'm going to share my results. Can everybody see the results?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So from our audience today, we have about 27% that are planners like me, where they do the extensive research, very deliberate decisions, and 73% are more directional like Dale. They assimilate information quickly, make quick decisions. But like I said, regardless of which style you are, although they're very opposite ends of the spectrum, we can work together and have a very successful relationship on projects, presentations, etc. So with that, let's talk about what those key items are. All right, so with this, First thing that makes the contracting styles work well are common values. When I'm talking about values, I'm talking about things like accountability, commitment, compassion for the project of whatever you're trying to accomplish, cooperation, dependability, fairness, flexibility, integrity, motivation, openness, success that you want to accomplish, and trust. There are many, many more common values, but I think what's important is you evaluate what your common values are and what's important to you, and the person that you're working with, understand what their values are. If you guys share some common values there, you will have a successful relationship and be able to work through a project, a presentation, whatever that might be. The second part are common goals, right? If we don't have a common goal and we're working towards two completely separate things, our styles probably aren't going to work together. However, if we're sharing values and have our common goals, meaning we're wanting to get to the same end result. For instance, Dale and I did a presentation together a few years ago regarding our different styles. My approach to preparing for the presentation is I think a lot about it. I work hard at putting the presentation together. I really want to plan out, okay, Dale, when are we going to meet to talk about this? When's our next step for that? And we really kind of iron out the whole process step by step. Dale is, hey, here's what our end result is. I feel if we move in this direction, we're going to hit it. I need a little bit more step by step. However, we shared common values of what we want, what we believe in, what's important to us. We had a common goal that we wanted to share information to E4E years ago, and we wanted to share the same information. So we had the same vision and end goal of what we wanted to accomplish. Because we shared those two things, our presentation was extremely successful. And we got along famously and had a lot of fun doing it along the way. So common goals can be anything from what the end result needs to be. It might be things like boosting work performance, increasing sales, solving a problem, developing a training module. It could be sharing knowledge, such as developing a presentation to give. So there's a lot of different things that you could be wanting to accomplish with people with contrasting styles. This applies a whole lot when it comes to working with coworkers or outside vendors or outside sales. You run into all sorts of people with different styles. So regardless of what you're trying to accomplish, these are ways to make that happen. Other items that make this really successful is appreciation. I really feel you need to appreciate each other. You need to make sure that you respect each other's approach. If you can appreciate where the other person's coming from, it really makes things go a lot smoother. Next up, one of my favorites, have fun, communicate. Communication's key. I really address that with any of my clients, my staff, anybody that I'm working with, that communication is absolutely key. And fun. If you're not gonna have fun doing it and putting it together, what's the point? There's ways to find fun in everything, even if it's something that's kind of a dreaded thing that you're trying to accomplish. You can find a way to have some fun. Fun lightens the mood. It helps to allow that appreciation happen, work towards those common goals, especially if you share those values. Another one, openness and flexibility. That's hard sometimes. Sometimes we just have set in our ways that this is the way it needs to be done. But when you're working with people with contrasting styles, it's really important to be open and flexible. By doing so, you might learn a little something. You might find, as I have, that there are things I can do that I don't have to plan as diligently, and I can be a little bit more directional, like Dale in some things. But I've learned this through being open and flexible and kind of observing and learning how Dale's approach works. And with that, I'm able to switch back and forth now to where before it was hardcore planning all the way. So be open and flexible to learning and observing how the other person's style works, because you might find that there are pieces of it that you can apply yourself. Patience. I think this is key as well. it can be a challenge working with someone with a contrasting style because it's not the same as yours. So have patience to really understand where they're coming from and their approach and communicate. Like I said before, you've got to communicate back and forth. So patience goes a long way when working with someone with a contrasting style. So regardless of a style, you can be very successful. I have one more poll I want to set out there for you guys. So give me just 1 second here. So the next poll is, of these different items that can make contrasting styles work, what do you feel are most important? You can select multiple answers. So here you go. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Five seconds to go. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. All right, let's see those results. All right, so with this, we've got about 32% on several of them. So 32% common values, common goals, fun and communication, 16% with appreciation, 21% for openness, 16% for patience, and 63% say all of the above. Very good. Thank you guys for sharing and participating in the polls. I think it's fun to get some feedback as to what you guys are thinking as well. So with that, you know, I feel as though all of them are very important, but I have to say my top two are the common values and the common goal. I feel if you share those two things above all, you can have a successful relationship with someone with contrasting style. However, appreciation, fun, communication, flexibility, and patience all make meeting that goal so much easier. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the presentation today and have learned a little bit about how to work with others that have a contrasting style from yourself. Feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. I think we've got a few minutes for questions right now. So if you have any, feel free to share.
Lori, great job on the polls, by the way. That was nice and smooth, and I think it worked great.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thad says, excellent information. Working with contrasting styles is vital to a successful conclusion.
It truly is. Yeah, contrasting styles, I feel, you know, when you have the same style, you guys are on the same page the whole way. But I have to say, working with Dale and other people that have contrasting styles from myself, it really enlightens me and provides a whole nother perspective on how to approach things and the success of whatever our goal is that we're working towards. So I highly encourage, don't steer away from someone that has a different style from you, especially when hiring. It can really bring a lot to your organization and or the project that you're working on.
Lori, Les is asking, so what are some tips on how to have fun? There's an open-ended
How to have
question.
fun. Yeah, so Dale and I have lots of fun. Number one is we're preparing for our presentations and things like that. Lots of communication going back and forth, but we really share, I think because we're at one with our own styles, we can kind of tease each other about what we're doing. We recognize that, you know, sometimes I'm maybe being a little too anal about my steps and where I'm going. And I tease Dale about, you know, he has no direction. He's just headed out wherever and hope that we end up in the right spot. So we just tease each other back and forth. And that's one of the ways we have fun. But in order to do any teasing like that, make sure you've got a good relationship with the person you're working with and that they are at one with their style. Because I know, although my style is different from Dale's, I'm very comfortable with the fact that I'm a planner. And I do need those details and I need to assimilate the information, and it takes me a bit to make my decisions. And Dale, you know, he knows that when he sends out something for me to review or, hey, what about this idea? It's going to take me a little bit to get back to him and really think it through to where if I throw something out, to him, he's probably going to respond immediately. Well, I think we should head this way, or, how about this idea? So he appreciates that. And we just have fun by kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. And like I said, a little bit of teasing along the way at each other's styles.
Karen is asking, do planners reach their goals at the same rate as directional styles?
I say yes. Sometimes I would think planners might be a little slower, but overall, I think yes, because you just, in Dale's approach, he is directional, but he pivots and turns along the way. So while he's pivoted and turning, that's kind of a little bit more time consuming in the process, just like my upfront planning. So my time is more upfront. He jumps in and goes for it, right? But he's adjusting along the way, to where my planning up front, I typically have a little bit less adjustment along the way. Doesn't mean I don't have to adjust though, because you don't know until you get in there and start to learn. But I think overall, you kind of end up at the same place in the end.
Kara says, I love that this applies to both business and in our personal lives. And Deb Bokamper says, keeps you open to opportunity, great ideas, common sense, but good to work with personal and or business.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely applies in both situations.